All right, everybody. All right, this is James the Blue Eye Tech. I am going to be repairing an Xbox One X power supply. So I will be using actually the Fantic Nex E1 Max. And I've used that to do this before with the power supply exchange. And I'll be doing this again because if you have an Xbox One X, it's giving you kind of this issue where it will turn on and then immediately shut off. It more likely is going to be the power supply that is the issue here. Now the first bit you're going to use, there's two screws on the back, and you'll find that both the bits are going to be, there's going to be one here and then one here on either side of the console. It's just those two, then the top cover should just slide right off. Once that happens, you should be able to slide the cover just forward a little bit like so. As you can see, it just kind of slid forward a little bit. That's pretty much as far as it will go. Then once that happens, you should be able to just kind of lift underneath one side. It's going to be on the side where the power port is right here, where you would plug in the power cord. That's going to be the side you're going to lift up. Then we should be able to slide this right off. There we go. Now we got the cover off. Then next, you're going to want to take your tweezers. There's going to be a cable connector here. Right here on the front. I don't know if you guys could see that all that well, but right here is going to be a little cable we're going to unplug. There we go. And once that's lifted up, we should be able to just unplug like so. There we go. The next we're going to do is we're going to take these three screws here on the front and use our T8 bit. Then once we remove those three screws, you're just going to basically want to take the circuit board here and you're going to pull it just straight out. There we go. Just going to pull it straight out like that. All right, now this next one we're going to be using a combination of the T10 and the T8 bit here to remove, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different screws. There's going to be 2 T8s and the other remaining screws are going to be the T10. So, and these two right here are going to be the T8 right here on the front where this connector is. Swap out with the T10. Next, we're going to take the flat end of our pry tool here, and we're just going to basically kind of get under this connector that we remove the 2 T8 screws from, and just kind of unplug that and just kind of leave it off to the side there. Next, we're going to flip this console over and we're going to remove the back, the bottom cover here. So we're just going to carefully just flip it over. There we go. All right, perfect. I'm going to set this off to the side for now. All right, now we got just basically got 2 T10 screws going to remove on either side. So right here and right here. And we should be able to lift this right off. Perfect. Okay, so, all right, so the power supply is right over here. This is our disk drive, and here's the cooling fan. Then we're going to carefully flip this back over because we got a few more screws we got to remove. Now you're doing this, so be careful because the disk drive here is actually going to be loose. It's not really going to be held in by anything. So make sure when you do flip it over, you are actually holding on and supporting the disk drive. Because it's being supported, it's attached to the motherboard by only 2 cables. So if that kind of falls off, that could do some damage to those ribbon cables. looks like about 5 more T10 screws we got to remove. So we got these 3 here, plus this one, and then this one right here. These should all be the same length. So when you put these back, it should not matter as far as these ones go. If you put them back in the right spot next, they should all be the same size. All right, now we're going to gently flip the console back over again. Remember to basically be supporting that disk drive when we flip it back over. All right, so we're going to lift this up so that this hook unhooks off this tab right here off the power supply. If you guys could see here, but you guys could basically, there's the 2 cables right there that attach to the motherboard down below. All right, next we're going to insert our pry tool here, the spudger, underneath this tape that's holding down the cable to the power supply right over here. Just kind of gently lift that up, because not all new power supplies will come with this tape, so we can always reuse this later on when we want to put in the new power supply. So now we should be able to lift up old power supply here. Should be able to move this just enough where we could basically unplug this from the motherboard. Just kind of carefully move that out of the way. Now you can, it says here in the instructions, I remember when I did this last time, it says in the instructions that you should move, like basically unplug the fan from the motherboard. You don't necessarily have to. What I did last time, I just kind of just moved it to the side as you see here. Gives you plenty of space to work right over here where the plug for the power supply actually is. So, I mean, you want to if you can, but it's not completely necessary. Let's see here. I might have actually missed a screw. We're going to flip this over and find out real quick. So let's hold this in place if we don't. Oh, you know what? I think I did. Did I? Yep, totally did. That's why that's not coming out. All right, I missed one of the T10 screws that are actually holding the power supply in place. So take that out of there. Now it should be able to. Yep, now I see there's 4. There should have been 5. So now I should be able to move everything out of the way. So move the fan off to the side like so. And boom, there you go. That came right on out. Which is perfect. And then we're going to reverse the process, which we just did. We're going to reverse that. Let me grab the new power supply. All right, so here's our new power supply. All right, so it should just be as simple as just reversing the entire process all over again. So we're just going to plug this guy back in here. Okay, power supply is set back in place, which is good. Move that back there like so. This is going to be a little bit of a pain though, because this guy right there, nothing's really holding it down. So we're going to want to, there we go. All right, it's going to be a little loose. Once we get the screws in there, we should be good to go. Put the fan back in place first. Once the fan's back there, hook this guy back in. Basically run it through here across the fan. Put the disk drive right there. And if you want to reuse the old tape, because this power supply did not come with another piece of protective tape here. I heard some people say it's not really necessary for you to actually have the protective piece of tape on there if you don't want it. But, I mean, if it's there to use it, I mean, I'll just put it back on. All right, We're going to flip this back over, and we're going to put the lower metal casing back on. Make sure everything's all lined up properly. Just keep in mind, always keep, until you get the bottom casing back onto it, just keep this supported. That way so it doesn't pull the cables off of the disk drive. Alright. So next we're going to put the lower plastic cover back on here. Remember, when you're putting this back on though, have it tilted towards the tilted end. It's gonna be hooking onto the disk drive over here, and we're just gonna snap it back into place. So I see how the little hooks. Actually, I'll show you guys here if I can. You'll see like these little circles right here, these little ovals. That's where these pieces right here in the front, I don't know if you can see them all that well, will kind of just click into place here. So just kind of line them up. That button clicks perfectly fine there. Nice. All right. Next, we're gonna flip it over. Next, we're gonna do the T8 and the T10 bits. So it'll be these guys here. Are gonna be the T10. These are gonna be the 47.7 millimeter screws. Put this guy on. Then we're gonna switch this guy out for the T8. All right, next we're gonna put the front circuit board back on. So that ribbon cable is out of the way. Plug it straight on in. Grab our tweezers here. Okay. Basically lock that back in place. Should be good. We're going to put these T8 screws back into the front of the front panel motherboard here. And after this, it's just be a matter of just putting on the top cover and putting those two screws on the back end of the console that we originally did, and then we'll plug it in and hope for the best. Well, now that we actually got this there, let's do this. Before I do go that far, I mean, I've already went pretty much 90% of the way here, but let's plug it in and turn it on and see, just to make sure it stays on. All right, fingers crossed, guys. Moment of truth. Aha, okay, we got the light on. I hear the fan running. Yeah, it looks like we got life. Looks like it's working. All right, so as you can see, it's staying on, unlike it did in the beginning of the video. Light's still staying on there, so I'm going to turn it off. Should shut off here in a second. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to unplug it and finish putting on the rest of the way. Well, we did it. All right. Got the Xbox One X all put back together as you saw earlier. It ran just fine. And I will get this hooked up, and I will probably stream later off this to kind of test out so you guys can see for yourself. Anyway, this is James of Blue Eye Tech. I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.